Good, a deep, hoarse voice suddenly sounded slowly. Mo Shanghua is like being struck by lightning. She looks at the moment and wakes up. She turns her head and looks at her Yanbei city. For 3 days, Mo Shanghua was used to talking to herself. I didn't expect that Yan Beiqing could respond to her at this time. Yan Beiqing just woke up, but he didn't have much strength, but he still sat up and leaned on the soft pillow. He pulled out a gentle smile from the corner of his lip. How, are you stupid? Mo Shanghua completely recovered, and almost immediately ran from the door to the bedside. Yan Beiqing, are you really awake? I'm not dreaming. Mo Shanghua has some unbelievable hands caressing Yan Beiqing's face. Her cool touch makes her feel very unreal, but she feels very down to earth. You wake up at last. Murmur a sound in the flower mouth on the street, and then directly rush to Yan Beiqing's arms. Yan Beiqing just woke up, and he had no strength. With this fierce rush, he almost couldn't hold on and fell on the bed. In the end, however, it was supported by a soft pillow. A familiar faint fragrance came from his nose. Yan Beiqing gently stroked the black hair of the flowers on the street and said in a hoarse voice, naturally, I'm really awake. I'm really in front of you. Mo Shanghua hugs Yan Beiqing tightly. Her eyes are hot and her nose is sour. In order not to let his tears flow out, but hold for a while, Mo Shanghua released Yan Beiqing, slightly raised his head, deliberately not to see Yan Beiqing. As the old saying goes, one day is like 3 autumn. Yan Beiqing coma these days, Mo Shanghua seems nothing, but the heart felt more difficult than the 3 autumn. How are you? Do you have any discomfort? There the sour and astringent eyes, the flowers on the street, the light of the eyes is looking at Yanbei city, the light of the eyes is especially soft. Yan Beiqing a heart suddenly soft down, smell speech also just gently shake head, lip cape immediately stir up a smile, I'm naturally very good, you just don't worry. Then he raised his hand and hammered it on his chest as if he didn't believe it. As expected, his face was as usual. In order to make her feel at ease, he thought about it, and then he would hammer it twice again. Mo Shanghua grabs his hand and looks at his eyes like anger and resentment. It's hard to wake up. Do you want to spoil yourself like this? Yan North City also don't speak, just looking at Mo Shanghua smile lightly. After waking up this time, she looked at the flowers on the street more sentimentally than before. Her eyes swept inch by inch from her slightly haggard face, as if she were looking at something precious. For a long time, she held her hand without saying a word. I'll never let you go. Mo Shanghua did not listen to the truth, full of joy, also did not pursue more, a hand gently stroking his belly, said with a smile, I have this little guy, are looking forward to you wake up. What little thing? Yan North City Leng Leng, Mo Shanghua this sudden word surprised not light, even some reaction not come over. Mo Shanghua's smile is deeper, and her eyebrows and eyes are more gentle. She has been 2 months now. I didn't tell you before that I was afraid of your distraction. Now everything has been settled. Naturally, it's time for you to be afraid of her and look forward to happiness for her. Even in Qin Ya's place, she had given a death order before. She could never reveal a word to Yan Beiqing for fear of distracting him. Yan Beiqing was stunned for a long time, but he didn't come back for a long time. For a long time, his pupil turned gently, and then a huge surprise flashed out of his lips. He seemed to have the strength in an instant. Yigilu got up from the bed. His hands were close to the belly of the flower in the street carefully. When he was about to meet her, he didn't know why he drew back. He looked up at her with a pair of phoenix eyes. Is it true? Mo flower lips gently raised, nature is true, she will lie here, after 8 months, will quack to the ground. Yan Beiqing was almost dazzled by this huge surprise. His hands wandered in front of Mo Shanghua's stomach for a long time, but he didn't dare to touch it. He just grasped Mo Shanghua's hand, and some commissars said wrongly, I dare not touch it. Mo Shanghua was amused by his appearance, and looked at him with curved eyebrows. Yan Beiqing, what's your prestige 3 days ago? why don't you even dare to touch it now? Yan North City only clenched the hand of Mo Shanghua. He just 2 months, in your belly should not be formed, I'm afraid I rashly start, will move the fetus. Touch it and you'll move the fetal chi. You are really. Mo Shanghua couldn't help laughing. The more she looked at Yan Beicheng, the more lovely she felt. Yan Beicheng, however, was still upright. He turned his lips and said, my child is not afraid to say that he is weak, but if he wants 10,000, what if there is a good or bad thing? Then, he didn't know what he thought of. He suddenly stood up straight and put his boots on his feet. It's a great joy. I'm going to tell the world. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua quickly dragged him back. He was angry and funny and looked at him, tell the world what, when you are already in the dragon chair? Besides. She smiles a little and points to his cheek, the things on your face have not been painted yet. When Yan Beicheng heard the speech, he subconsciously touched his cheek over there. Naturally, he soon felt that it was wrong, and his eyebrows tightened up. Because of the medication, the skin on his face was always coarser than that on other places. At the moment, the familiar feeling didn't come, but it was greasy. Yan Beicheng found a copper basin in the room, fished out the wet handkerchief, and took it as a mirror. Sure enough, as Mo Shanghua said, it disappeared, even without a trace. His sword eyebrow immediately tightly screwed up, eyes color dignified, if this thing doesn't use a separate medicine, it can't disappear naturally. What happened? Talking about this matter, Mo Shanghua's smile also subsided. He repeated all the things of that day, and said, after that, you were boiling hot all over again. It lasted all night, and it faded the next day. Yan Beicheng felt the medicine from his body and dropped a few drops on his face. In the past, as soon as he touched the skin, he would immediately feel like the red medicine sticking on it. Now, like the smooth oil, it flowed down his cheek again. He wiped it lightly with his hand, and there was still no trace on his skin. Mo Shanghua also felt strange. She took the medicine from Yan Beicheng and dropped a drop on her arm. The red potion immediately coagulated on her white arm and looked like a drop of red mole. This time, not only Yan Beicheng, but also Mo Shanghua was puzzled. However, when she thought of Ning's words before she left, she had some opinions in her heart, maybe it's true. As Ning said, everything has a reason. Yan Beicheng was able to absorb the evil qi. After waking up, there was nothing different except that the potion could not be used on his face. Maybe, there's something in between. Thinking of this, he was a little relieved. He raised his hand and grasped his hand. He said with a smile, everything in the world has a definite number. This may be a good thing that you don't have to appear in the future with that ugly appearance. Yan North City slightly hook lip a smile, also not tangle this matter, I hope so. However, his deep eyes like endless, but very quickly across a faint light, in an instant there is no trace. Since then, Emperor Baorong has not been in court for half a month. In this half-month, Emperor Baorong simply handed over the responsibility of supervising the country to Yan Xinchuan. Yan Xinchuan is not willing to take this job in his heart, but since things have come to this point, he can't refuse it anymore. As for the rest of the prince and others, the original marriage date was extended again, which also made Princess Chen and other concubines worried all day. Fortunately, with the delay of the wedding, Baorong Emperor finally granted the princes their respective kings. However, only Yan Xinchuan, who has been entrusted with the important task, has been unable to become the king for a long time. All the ministers have understood the intention. Therefore, those who have not yet stood in line have also stood in line, but only Liu Bohan, the prime minister, has not stood in line. On the other hand, since Yan Beicheng woke up, the couple moved away from the 13th prince's mansion, but did not return to the palace. Instead, they chose a very quiet house. Yanbei City is not going to court every day. Every few days, he has to find a reason not to go to court and stay in the mansion with the flowers on the street. As for Baorong Emperor and the Empress Dowager, every day he seems to be a routine. After a visit the other day, he doesn't care much. As for the missing birthmark on his face, he didn't bother to cover it up. When someone asked, he said that he had been blessed by the national teacher and helped him erase it. Empress Lin hanged herself after 10 days in the imperial palace. Yen Moli is still in prison. Her old feud has already been avenged. If you go to dig up the old accounts and thoroughly investigate the incident of that year, I'm afraid there won't be so many things to spend with her. As for the identity of the national teacher, he went to travel all over the world as the national teacher to seek the way to prolong the life of Barong Emperor. Now the house is quite elegant and secluded. It would be nice to be a place to cultivate and recuperate. The servants are all selected by Nanha. There are not many people selected, but they are all competent and no one else's work. Yen Beicheng and Mo Shanghua had a very comfortable half-month. Mo, taste the sour plum soup and the green plum. If it's not enough, I'm going to Linqing to get some for you. Yen Beicheng personally served a bowl of sour plum soup and handed it to Mo Shanghua. Then he continued to hand over the green plum and opened his mouth with a smile. Mo Shanghua took sour plum soup with a smile and took a sip of it. It doesn't seem that Qinya made it. Yen Beicheng's eyebrows and eyes suddenly flew a little proud. If he had a tail, he would have gone up to the sky. It's natural. It's for my husband to cook for you. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua put sour plum soup in front of him and said, no wonder the taste is so strange. You have to taste it yourself. When Yen Beicheng saw this, he didn't believe it. He drank half a bowl of sour plum soup at one go. As soon as he was about to boast, his face became strange and he couldn't say a word. The flower on the street saw this, couldn't help but cover lip to smile. Wei, how? Yen Beicheng quietly put away his proud look and gathered the sour plum soup in his own direction. He never mentioned that it was made by himself. He pointed to the green plum and said, this is what I picked from Linqing early in the morning. I don't believe it's not to your taste. However, in view of what happened just now, he picked up one and tasted it himself. It's really a famous green plum. It's really sour and astringent. Yen Beicheng's handsome face is almost distorted. The flower on the street, Poof Chi, came out with a smile, and the tears that covered her stomach almost squeezed out. Yen Beicheng just chewed a mouthful, and then he couldn't bear it. He forced himself to swallow it, and then he looked at the flower with a bitter face. Mo, I've tasted it for you. It's really sour and acerbic. It should suit your appetite. Who told you I was sour? Mo Shanghua's fetuses are nearly 3 months old, and she is still in good spirits. You want Qinya to make sour plum soup for you every day. Is it sour? Yen Beicheng was puzzled. Unfortunately, Qinya is not here at this time. If not, he will ask Qinya directly. One side has always, and in the heart sigh, if Qinya is not here today, he will not volunteer to cook flowers for me. Mo Shanghua lies back on the beauty couch again. When Yen just lazily raises her eyebrows and says, you didn't ask me to drink those tonic soup every day a while ago. I'm very tired of it. This sour plum soup is refreshing and delicious. I naturally like it. After a pause, she took her lips and gave a smile. She used to caress her belly. However, I like spicy things a bit. Yen North City handsome face just collapsed down, smell speech eye is a bright again, you mean, maybe a daughter. Said, gather up to want to personally across the belly of Mo Shanghua to listen to. Mo Shanghua pushed him away some, face black line, now less than 3 months, how can you see men and women? Both men and women, I will cherish it as a treasure. Yen Beicheng's face remained unchanged, and his face was solemn. Mo Shanghua then laughed again, especially warm in her heart, however, I hope to be a daughter. I don't know why. I just like my daughter. She only remembered part of the things in her dream, and after thinking about them for a long time, she still knew little about them. Ning knows that the box she sent still can't be opened, and she is not entangled. She takes it out of the palace and locks it in the box. The dream never happened again, and the scene in the dream seems to fade away. However, these are no longer important. In her heart, she had already thought that what should happen could never escape, and she had to let it go. The most important thing now is to enjoy the present. In this world where men are superior and women are inferior, Yan Beicheng is an alien. It is enough to hold him in the palm of your hand, treasure her and love her. What she is most looking forward to now is this little life. If she is a daughter, she must be lovely. Yan Beicheng clenched the hand of Mo Shanghua, 10 fingers clasped, the other hand gently stroked her abdomen, full of face doting. Mo said it was her daughter. The daughter over there is good, little guy, you have to listen, your mother likes her daughter, if she is born a bastard, it's better to educate you as a father. Mo Shanghua smiles and pats his hand, nonsense. Yan Beicheng's smile did not decrease, and his eyes on the flowers were gentle to the extreme. I don't talk nonsense. Your wish is my wish. Mo Shanghua stands up with a smile and leans in his arms, holding her fingers tightly. At the moment, their hearts seem to be filled with something, and their happiness is beyond words. In the outer courtyard at this time, Qinya took the cake made by herself and walked briskly towards Mo Ling. Brother Mo, wait for me. Mo Ling was dressed in a black and skillful military uniform, holding a long sword in his hand. When he heard Qinya's voice, he stopped and turned around. There was a slight emotional fluctuation on his wooden and expressionless face. Qinya is happy in her heart. She is about to step forward, but her arm is suddenly stopped by Qin Lin, who comes out of nowhere. After entering the barracks, Qin Lin had a lot of strength, and now Qinya couldn't step out. Brother, why do you have time to come back today? Don't you still need to practice in the army? Qinya looks back at Qin Lin in surprise. At present, the Imperial Guards are reorganized, and Mo Zhang's identity as the adopted son of Prince Lian is not hidden. So Yan Xinchuan wants him to stay in the capital temporarily, reorganize the Imperial Guards, and recruit some new recruits by the way. Qin Lin, as a pioneer, is directly appointed as a coach. He should be in the barracks now. My brother cares about you, so he comes back to see you. Qin Lin quickly glanced at Mo Ling, who was less than 3 meters away, with a resolute face and a serious mouth. Qinya took a look at Qin Lin and Mo Ling. She pulled out her hand decisively. Brother, wait for me. I'll give this cake to Brother Mo and come back right away. Not far away, Mo Ling will listen to Qinya's words clearly, lips slightly raised, a very shallow radiant, step over. Qinya bit her lower lip and gently laughed. She was about to come forward with her food box. However, Qin Lin pulled her directly behind him this time. Qin Linsheng is very strong, and directly blocks Qinya's whole life behind him. The joy that just surged up is almost extinguished. Brother, what are you doing? My brother has something very important to tell you. Go with him first. Qin Lin's eyes flashed, took the food box in Qinya's hand, turned around and threw it to Mo Ling without expression, and then pulled Qinya away. Mo Ling holds the food box in both hands and looks at Qin Lin and Qinya's back. The whole person is completely confused on the spot. The wood-like expressionless face is finally split with a hint of consternation. Qinya also turns back frequently, but she can't resist her elder brother, so she can only look away with Mo Ling. How can my brother protect his sister like this? Mo Ling is holding the food box in his hand, and he is quite depressed. Crane, when shall we get married? As soon as Nanha had practiced his sword and had a rest, Hua Qianlu came over. Nanha just swallowed the tea in his mouth, and all of it was taken down by Hua Qian's elegant face. Hua Qianlu wiped the water stains on her face, and the light in her eyes didn't disappear at all. Baorong Emperor is like today's lingering sick bed, so is the Empress Dowager. If we don't hurry up, it will be 3 years before we want to get married. During the period of national mourning, any marriage or funeral among the people should be shelved. At the thought of this, Hua Qianlu was upset and continued, if we catch up with Emperor Baorong and the Empress Dowager and die together, won't our marriage be extended for a longer time? Crane, we must get married soon. South Crane will be shocked down in the heart, poured a cup of tea for himself again, without squinting the mouth, so, then 3 years later in the discussion. Flower Thousand Willow, a handsome face suddenly collapsed. This how can? Nanha picked up the Tibetan sword that had just been placed on the table. The sword god reflected the cold light in the sunlight, but she was used to it. She took it in her hand and played with it gently. The corner of her eye glanced at Hui Qianliu. When your martial arts can catch up with me, I will promise you. The cold light reflected on Nanha's cheek. Hui Qianliu silently swallowed his saliva, stood up and walked back. I thought about it. In fact, it doesn't matter whether I get married or not. As long as you and my heart are together, it's okay. There are still some things to deal with in the pavilion, so I'll go back first. As soon as the words fell, the sword in the hand of Nan he stood in front of his chest. The things in the pavilion are taken care of every day. What else do you want to do? Flower Willow quickly changed face, flattering smile. Yes, I forgot. Nan, he is arrogant and can't rub a grain of sand seriously. Therefore, Hua Qianlu has long been eager to find the best person in the building to take care of the affairs in Qinghuan. He only needs to visit the building twice a month. He can't stay in the building anymore. In the eyes of the South Crane, a satisfied look appeared. The delicate jaw was raised gently. Then I will practice sword with you. This can't be used. Hua Qianlu immediately shook her head like a rattle, but Nan he couldn't help breaking up and attacked directly. Hua Qianlu had no choice but to resist. However, although his kung fu was not weak, he was not as good as Nanha, and soon he was defeated. Hua Qianlu struggled to resist the fierce attack of the South Crane, while wailing constantly in his heart. How did Yan Beiqing practice such evil? He didn't mean to let it go, he did. He couldn't beat it. Everything is thriving, only in the palace at this time. Yan Xinchuan now has to live in the palace again. Baorong Emperor was seriously ill. He went to read the memorial every day, and then he had to read it for him. Today, he was very busy until late at night. Originally, his agreement with Yan Beiqing was to only help Yan Beiqing in the imperial court. Yan Beiqing was responsible for the throne, but in the end, everything was going too fast. He didn't have time to help, so it was a foregone conclusion. Until recently, he just knew that Yan Beiqing didn't want the throne from the beginning. Mo Shanghua once thought so, but her longing for Yan Beiqing was also heard. In addition, he hated and rejected the royal family. From the beginning, he just wanted revenge, just wanted Baorong Emperor to regret. Third prince and others are not enough. Yan Xinchuan heart is more unwilling, or had to accept the appointment of Baorong Emperor. Your Highness, it's time to rest. An internal servant came forward at this time and gently reminded him. I see. Yan Xinchuan rubbed his temple a little tired and stood up. Just walked a footstep, suddenly feel some head heavy, then, the whole person will not be controlled. A head fell to the ground. Your Highness, Your Highness. The internal servant was shocked and turned pale. Imperial Doctor, please come to see the Imperial Doctor. Prince and Princess, the 13th prince fell ill last night. Today, the royal doctor went to treat him. He said that he had made the old disease again. One dark guard told the news from the palace today. Mo Shanghua and Yan Beiqing looked at each other and frowned tightly. Yan North City Sword Eyebrow Tight Cu asked the most important question, what's the situation in the palace? The ministers headed by Lu Xiang are kneeling outside the Yangxin Hall, asking His Majesty to reconsider the candidates for the reserve. The Dark Way says truthfully. The flower eyebrows on the street are beating. I'm afraid things are developing in an uncontrollable direction. I immediately ask, which prince did the ministers recommend? To the princess, all the ministers recommend the lord. Dark Wei slightly paused for a while, just Wei. Yan Beiqing has thoroughly proved his ability in the case of Yan Moli. The rest of the princes have been suppressed by Yan Moli for many years, and they have not become the best candidates at all. Mo Shanghua's premonition suddenly came true. Her red lips pursed slightly, and her heart filled with an unspeakable emotion. You go down first. Yan North City orders that person to go down, turn round to spend tight frown on the Mo to smooth. but in the heart not happy? Mo Shanghua did not open her mouth, but the tight corners of her lips showed her unhappiness in her heart. Everything had settled down. Originally, they should have lived a stable life now, but they still had sudden changes. Yan Beiqing was also a little unhappy, but he still habitually hid his emotions in his heart and held the hand of Mo Shanghua tightly. Don't worry, I won't do what they want. Now, I just want to live a stable and peaceful life with you. Mo Shanghua's uneasy heart was calm. She looked down at her belly and said in a soft voice, I just don't want our children to live in such a bloody environment from their urine. After a pause, she said, it's more selfish. If you sit in that position, you can't help doing a lot of things. I didn't care if there were women in your mansion in the past, but now, I just want to occupy you alone. Yan Beiqing smiles and gently pinches her nose. Her eyes are full of spoiling color. You can rest assured that you will be the only woman in my life. The frowning brow of the flower on the street stretched out, then how do you plan to deal with those ministers? I think I should go to see Yan Xinchuan now. Yan Beiqing's smile faded, and his face became calm. I'm with you. Mo Shanghua immediately replied, and was afraid that Yan Beiqing would not agree. He explained, I have medical skills, and I can help when I go. Besides, I don't take medicine for myself. It doesn't have any effect on my children. You can rest assured. Yan North City refused words haven't had time to say, Mo Shanghua has found so many reasons, he naturally can't refuse, can only helplessly promise down. Heart is more firm, sure to take her in this life smooth and happy. Your Highness took the medicine that hurt his health all the year round in the early years, and his health has been damaged. Although he was brought back to health some days ago, he was too tired these days, and now his old disease has recurred. It can take more than 1 year or less than half a year to recover. Lu Zheng had already had a pulse for Yan Xinchuan. At the moment, he saw flowers coming from the street of Yan Beiqing. He told them about his illness one by one. The eyebrows on the street suddenly twisted. Yibao Rongdi's condition now, I'm afraid it won't last for half a month. The emperor can't hang in the air all the year round. I'll see. Mo Shanghua pinched the palm of her hand and walked towards the inner room. Yan Xinchuan is still in a coma at the moment. He has a pretty face that is as warm as jade. At the moment, he is pale and almost dead. His forehead is sweating slightly and his brow is frowning. He seems to be in a nightmare. You can't wake up at will in the nightmare. The flower on the street thinks about it a little. Without much attention, she directly pulls his wrist to feel his pulse. Repeated diagnosis of several times, and Lu Zheng said the results are almost the same. Yan Xinchuan's body, in addition to the root cause of the disease, is the perennial use of adverse drugs in the body. The damage caused by the body is lifelong. If you do nothing, just rest for 2 or 3 years, maybe you can recover. However, he was born in the royal identity, he is doomed to live in peace. How? Yan Beiqing's low voice sounded behind the flowers on the street. Flowers on the road, lips light pursed, silent. As he was about to pull out his hand between Yan Xinchuan's wrists and get up to leave, Yan Xinchuan closed his eyes tightly, and his pale lips spat out very light words, Qian, you're back, Qian. Don't mention the flowers on the street. Yan Beiqing's face turned black in an instant. He forcefully broke Yan Xinchuan's hand and took back his wife's hand. Never thought, this action is like stimulation to the sleepy Yan Xinchuan. He suddenly opened his eyes. The first one that came into view was the beautiful cheek of Mo Shanghua. He said subconsciously, Qian. Yan Beiqing directly pulled Mo Shanghua behind him, and then he faced Yan Xinchuan with a smile. Brother Shizhen Wang is not sleeping, how can you look at your sister-in-law's nonsense? All things, as long as it's about Mo Shanghua, Yan Beiqing is extremely concerned. If Yan Xinchuan is poured down by a basin of cold water, all his limbs and bones are cold. There is a touch of melancholy in his eyes, and the bright eyes restore the dead silence. I'm confused. I'm sorry. Sister Huang. Yan Xinchuan forced himself to smile apologetically, and his pale lips spoke softly. Just 2 words, then I coughed uncontrollably. Busy with a waiter to pass a glass of warm water, carefully he picked up. Yan Xinchuan took the warm water, but he didn't drink it. After a long sleep, his lips dried up and his voice was hoarse, but he still kept up his spirits. I didn't mean to. I just fell into a nightmare. Please don't blame me. As for the fact that he had just caught a hand in his sleep, he had no impression at all. Yan Beiqing was still deeply impressed by the situation. A pair of secluded pupils were a little dark inside. He said in a cold voice, even in sleep, you should not touch other people's hands at will. What? Yan Xinchuan was caught unprepared by Yan Beiqing's words, and his face was at a loss. When speaking, it is to cover chest to cough lightly again. Mo Shanghua only felt that Yan Beiqing was lovely and funny. He quickly pulled him aside and explained casually, it's not a big deal that you just grabbed your brother's hand when you were in a coma. There's no need to tangle. Clear. Listen to Mo Shanghua unexpectedly such explanation, Yan Beiqing eyebrows immediately wrinkled up, just want to explain, was her eyes warning stare back, obediently shut up. Mo Shanghua knows the bitterness in Hua Qianliu's heart, and thanks to the original owner, she naturally won't tangle in such things. She is just afraid that Yan Beiqing will be jealous forever. Yan Xinchuan smelled speech, in the heart also didn't doubt, see Yan Beiqing's eyes more sorry brother, I really don't have what consciousness, if not Huang So remind, I just don't know it. Yan North City cold a handsome face, almost from the teeth out of the 2 words, no harm. Mo Shanghua glanced at him helplessly and held his hand quietly to comfort him. Yan Beiqing was as cold as the face thrown into the iceberg. Then he warmed up a little and clenched her hand. Yan Xinchuan Yuguang took a look at the hand they held tightly. He quickly looked away and looked at Lu Zheng, Dr. Lu, cough, how long have I been in a coma, and how about my body now, how long can I take care of myself? Lu Zheng heard the speech and pondered for a moment. He still told the truth. At last, he told him, it's autumn now, and winter is coming soon. If your highness wants to take care of him, he has to pay more attention than before. Yan Xinchuan knew his illness, but he was silent and lowered his eyes slightly. After all, his body is too useless. Yan Xinchuan raised his head and looked at the sticky flower in front of Yan Beiqing. He tried not to fix his eyes on the flower. Just looking at their love, he knew that he had no interest in that position. I'm sorry, brother Wu Huang and sister Huang. My body may delay you. Yan Xinchuan sighed, and the corners of his lips pulled out a radiance of self-mockery. It's also that I haven't paid attention to my body in this period of time, otherwise it won't be like this. Yan Beiqing's eyes were cold and silent, and his emotions were complex. He didn't want to see such unexpected things. It's not your fault. At the moment, you just need to take good care of yourself. Under such circumstances, your brother and I will deal with everything for the time being. The stranger knew that this matter was extremely difficult, but he still comforted him in a low voice, it's really impossible. Your brother really had to go that way. This matter should not be regarded as a bad thing. With that, she pulled the corners of her lips and opened her mouth in a relaxed tone. Yan Beiqing only felt the pain in his heart. He held the hand of Mo Shanghua tightly and said in a low voice, it doesn't matter. There will always be a solution. Seeing this, Yan Xinchuan felt more guilty. He can't do anything. It's useless for him to make such a mistake while waiting. Especially looking at the flower on the street forced to smile, his heart is also a pain. Even if he can only match his sister-in-law day by day, even if he knows that the soul in the body is no longer the original person, how can he look at this familiar face without any fluctuation in his heart? Think of here, his 2 hands can't help slowly tightening, the brocade is all around by his clenched full of folds. Why did God give him such a body? The flowers on the street seemed to see Yan Xinchuan strange, the thin eyebrows slightly frown, 13 Emperor younger brother, many things are decided by heaven, human can't change, but you can change your mood, don't want to be trapped in it. The place that had dried up and cracked in his heart seemed to be moistened by the sweet spring. Yan Xinchuan slowly loosened his hand and forced out a smile. It was like this. His eyebrows and eyes were still warm and soft, as warm as the spring breeze. Lu Wen came to me just after I came out of the street. Lu Wen has been in the palace for more than 10 years. He always talks with people. When he meets Yan Beicheng, who is being elected by the officials, an old face suddenly smiles like a chrysanthemum. I've seen your Royal Highness and Princess Yu. There was no need for Yan Beicheng to disguise himself in front of his eyes. His face was as cool as an ice sculpture. He just nodded his head to show his pardon. Only in the face of flowers, his face will soften down, will be the gentle and considerate, and always try to make her happy husband. However, Mo Shanghua is also a quiet character, and will not speak actively unless necessary. Lu Wen had never seen Yan Beicheng like this before. He thought about it in his heart, and his smile became more brilliant. Your Highness, your Majesty told you to go to Yangxin Palace immediately. This is the new emperor in the future. Naturally, he did not dare to neglect him. It's time to come. Mo Shanghua sighs in her heart, and her eyes are silent. Yan Beicheng took the hand of Mo Shanghua, thin lips light enunciation, Sun Minister lead the purpose. Finish saying, then direct lead Mo Shanghua, stride to leave. Lu Wen looked at Yanbei City, where he left with great strides in front of him, and sighed incomparably in his heart. The world is changeable. Who would have thought that the son who used to be the most disliked son of Emperor Baorong is now his most outstanding son? On the contrary, he is the candidate for the crown prince expected by the important officials. When Yan Beicheng and Mo Shanghua arrived at Yangxin Hall, they saw the ministers kneeling in front of the hall. Baorong Emperor's body is getting weaker and weaker. He hasn't gone to court for half a month. Yan Xinchuan falls ill again at this time. There are many ways to find out Yan Xinchuan's illness. At this time, I'm afraid all the officials will know. So they all gathered here for one purpose. That is to force Baorong Emperor to establish a crown prince. This matter is of great importance. In addition to the important ministers of the 3rd grade and above, the officials of the 4th and 5th grade also knelt here. Although it's autumn, today's sun is full, and it's in the middle of the day. The officials are wearing heavy official clothes and pipe caps. Naturally, they are extremely hot. They are all sweating, but they still refuse to leave. Among them, some may be loyal officials, others may be people who are at the helm of the wind, or they may want to seek some interests in them. And the most let Mo Shanghua feel false, is kneeling in the head of officials Lu Bohan. Hua Qianlu traced the plot with General Chen for Lu Bohan. She knew it for a long time. Now she saw him kneeling here again and asked Baorong Emperor to establish Yanbei City as the reserve. Isn't it a great irony? It's ridiculous. In my heart, I really hate it. The flower in the street just glances at Lu Bohan, and then walks by without paying any attention to her plan. Lu Bohan, however, did not know what kind of mentality he was out of. He raised his head and said in a loud voice, Princess Yu, please stay. Look, what's the purpose of such a polite tone? The flower on the street keeps on walking with Yan Beicheng. If in the past, Lu Bohan's old face must have been lost. But today, in the presence of civil and military officials, Lu Bohan, a father with an old face, once again called out, if you have something to talk with Princess Yu, please let her stay. Lu Bohan has always attached great importance to his face, but now he is willing to give up his old face, which gives the stranger a little interest. She would like to see what makes Lu Bohan so willing to face. Thinking of this, Mo Shanghua turned around and said, what does Lu Xiang have to say? Lu wanted to get up and talk, but he had been kneeling all morning. He was in his 40s. This morning, his knees were aching and very weak, and he couldn't get up for a moment. Mo Shanghua looks coldly, and doesn't have the slightest intention to help. Seeing this, Lu Wen quickly called 2 attendants, one on the left and the other on the right, to help Lu Bohan up. Many of the officials quietly raised their eyes, and they had already made up their mind. It seems that Lu Bohan's father has no weight in the heart of Princess Yu, or perhaps the future queen. Therefore, in order to deal with Lu Bohan, we have to think more about it. How could Lu Bohan not know what was going on in the hearts of all the people? He was also ashamed, but he didn't show any respect on his face. He didn't look like a half-father. Princess Yu, please move here. Mo Shanghua nodded and was about to step forward, but Yan Beiqing held her hand and gently twisted her eyebrows. There was a little worry in her eyes. What can Lu Bohan do in front of civil and military officials? Mo Shanghua is clear in his heart. He pinches Yan Beiqing's palm and smiles at him, indicating that he can rest assured. Yan North City this just let go, oneself then turned round to enter to raise the Heart Temple. Now he is in the Imperial Palace, and Lu Bohan is inconvenient to go far, so he finds a quite open place under the main hall. This kind of emptiness is not afraid that the walls have ears. Mo Shanghua naturally understands the deep meaning, which also makes Qin Ye stand a little far away from Mo Ling, who is always with her now. I heard that the princess is pregnant now. Lu Bohan opened his mouth, but did not express his conjecture directly. Instead, he asked about the body of flowers in the street. Mo Shanghua subconsciously raised her hand and gently stroked her abdomen. She nodded indifferently, please worry about the Prime Minister. Now she is really pregnant in March. Lu Bohan's face actually showed a bit of satisfaction, so, I will rest assured, did not expect that Lu Bohan's lifetime, can also see his grandson was born. The corner of Flower's lips on the street raised a radiant of sarcasm and said impolitely, if what I remember is right, what Lu Xiang cares most about is his declared status. How come now he also thinks of his grandson? Lu Bohan's face froze, but he was a bit ashamed behind him. Qianqian, I've been thinking about it for a long time. No matter what happened in the past, it's me who's a father. I'm sorry for you. After a pause, he sighed as if he was tens of years old. I'm at this age, and I have few children. Now I just want to be reunited at home. I used to do something wrong. I'm willing to make up for it with everything. As long as you recognize my father and let your child call me grandfather. Such a sincere and old look, if the original owner, already soft-hearted, immediately will try to forgive this growing old father. But Mo Shanghua and Lu Bohan did not have the slightest feeling. His words only made her feel ironic. Her beautiful face was frozen, and her voice was frozen. Lu Xiang, I have already told you that I am no longer Lu Qian. In a short sentence, it was a response to Lu Bohan. Lu Bohan's old face was completely stiff, and there were millions of long speeches in his stomach. Now he was choked by Xingsheng and couldn't speak for a moment. Knowing Lu Bohan's intention, Mo Shanghua has no intention to stay and turns around. Stop! Lu Bohan saw the flowers on the road to go, quickly stopped her. Mo Shanghua's steps pause a little, but he doesn't look back. His voice is indifferent. Lu Xiangrua still wants to say these sour words to try to move me, so I don't have to say them. I have said that you have been cut off from you for a long time, and there is no connection in the future. Lu Bohan heard the speech, but he didn't care about his old face. He stopped in front of the flower on the street and said, even if it's your mother's face, you should listen to me finish this sentence. The irony in the flower eyes on the street is more intense. I don't know, Lu Xiang can even use dead people as chips now. Lu Bohan felt a little ashamed, but he was soon replaced by a stronger purpose in his heart. Well, you don't recognize my father, but what can I do for my age? After a pause, he said, I'm a father. Please, even if you don't recognize me, you should persuade your Highness King Yu. This time, you must seize the opportunity. Originally, this is the real purpose. Mo Shanghua knows Lu Bohan's purpose in an instant, but he stops on purpose. He has some doubts in his eyes. What's the chance to grasp? What do you mean by that? Lu Bohan finally became interested in Mo Shanghua. He felt a little happy and said in a low voice, naturally, he became the prince while his 13th Highness was seriously ill. Qianqian, it's not my selfish intention. Just think about it. If he ascends the throne, you will be the queen under one person and above 10,000 people. You will have whatever power, fame and wealth you want. These are the most beneficial things for you. Fearing that Hua Hui would not agree, Lu Bohan continued to lure him into saying, I'm a prime minister now. If you sit on the queen, what else can I get besides having light on my face? Qian, father, it's all for you, every word, said so true, but the more you listen to the flowers, the colder you feel. He was really a good father who thought about her. He didn't forget to give her advice at this time. Seeing that Mo Shanghua did not speak, Lu Bohan thought that she was moved and continued, the most important thing is that King Yu is devoted to you now, and your life will surely be very smooth in the future. As long as you can recognize your ancestors and return to your ancestors, I will not ask for anything else. You are so righteous. Mo Shanghua couldn't stand Lu Bohan's face, and the sarcastic color on her face was no longer covered up. Let me think about how much glory a family can bring to a queen. Lu Bohan's face was stiff. He was about to explain, but he didn't give him a chance at all. He continued to count, for one thing, this family will become a family of relatives, which is also half of the royal family. For these two things, with King Yu's love for me, I can ask for wind and wind, rain and rain. Naturally, this family will also ask for wind and wind. After a pause, the sneer on her lips became more and more intense. Three things, the identity of all the relatives in the family will rise, and marriage should be the best. If I remember correctly, there are children in Lu Bohan's house, not her daughter. Mo Shanghua's lips picked lightly and looked at Lu Bohan with a smile. Lu Xiang, what I said is right. The dirtiest part in my heart was exposed face to face, and the person was still his own daughter, which was particularly unbearable. Lu Bohan's old face was green and white. After a while, he said, that's it, so what? You are my daughter, so you should be filial. The flower's face on the street suddenly cooled down, and the water eyes seemed to be frozen. Filial piety? When you want to take my life, when you embarrass me in public, when you treat Lu Qianqian as the apple of your eye, why don't you come and tell me that you want me to be filial? After a pause, she pulled out a sneer from the corner of her lips. You are the one who is not qualified to say, filial piety, in the world. Lu Bohan couldn't bear it any longer. His face was livid, his lips were trembling, and his whiskers on his lips and jaw were shaking, but he couldn't say a word of refutation. Civil and military officials kneel less than 10 meters away from here. If they see such a mood, will they all laugh to death? At the thought of this, Lu Bohan couldn't hang on his face. When Mo Shanghua wanted to turn around and leave, he grabbed her sleeve, shook her beard and said, if you don't promise me today, I'll be killed here. There is a stone lion less than 1 meter in front of him. Lu Bohan is fierce at this stone lion. Today, I'm not asking you in the name of your father, but in the name of the Prime Minister of a country. Please take the overall situation into consideration and admonish Your Highness King Yu. If it doesn't work, I'll give you my advice. Lu Bohan suddenly raised his voice and looked awe-inspiring. But there was no panic on the flower face on the street, and the radiance of the lips was deeper. The Prime Minister should go and say this to His Majesty. Why do you want to embarrass my wife who can't speak? Seeing this, Lu Bohan simply tried to make a direct impact. Mo Shanghua looks at Lu Bohan who bumps into the stone lion, and doesn't mean to stop him. At the beginning, Lu Bohan still had some strength. His speed was quite slow. He really ran into Brother Zhuang. He was dizzy and his eyes were full of stars. At the moment, he simply bit his teeth and gave a fight. But the light from the corner of his eye was clearly looking at Mo Lingqinya, who was standing not far away, wondering if these two people could stop him in time. Before I had time to turn my mind around, I saw that I was about to bump into the hard stone lion. I didn't want to feel a sudden numbness in my armpit. I felt soft all over and fell down. Many ministers not far away have seen this scene. They wanted to come to help them, but Lu Bohan suddenly fell so soft in front of the stone lion. They were all a little strange, but they didn't stop. However, most of them are senior officials, and their legs are not sharp. Well, what's going on? Lu Bohan tried to move, but there was no strength in his whole body, and his face was almost twisted in fear. Mo Shanghua came forward in no hurry, leaned slightly to pull out a silver needle under Lu Bohan's armpit, and said with a smile, I have said that if you want to die, you can go to your Majesty's presence. It's useless in front of me. Lu Bohan had never seen a stranger spend his hand. At this moment, he realized that Princess Yu was no longer the clever and sensible Lu Qianqian in the past. He was shocked, You for a long time, but still couldn't spit out a word. She was still a little numb and weak. Princess. Qinya and Mo Ling trot over. Qinya glances at Lu Bohan, who is still on the ground, and says, Princess, are you okay? Although Mo Ling didn't speak, she also looked warily at Lu Bohan. Mo Shanghua didn't look at Lu Bohan. She took the silver needle back into her sleeve silently and said with a faint smile, I'm okay, but Lu Xiang accidentally fell. Lu Xiang, who accidentally fell down, was shocked to see that he didn't know how to speak and do anything. Would he still make a scene and let others come to see his jokes? Just at this time, those officials with poor legs also came. 2 younger officials helped Lu Bohan to get up and asked about the situation one after another. Naturally, he could not say that he was threatening his daughter to hit a stone lion. Instead, he fell a dog and chewed mud before that, so he had to pull the corner of his lip to cover up the past. It's just an accidental fall. It's nothing to worry about, nothing to worry about. Mo Shanghua looked at him rather cynically, then turned and left directly. In the face of his colleague's suspicious eyes, Lu Bohan had to tell a lie again. Even though he raised his voice deliberately just now, it was so far away that people didn't hear him clearly, so he could cover up the past by finding a suitable reason. As for Mo Shanghua, after returning to Yangxin Palace, Lu Weng invited him directly to the side hall. There was no shortage of excellent tea and exquisite snacks made by imperial cooks in the palace. Inside the Yangxin Hall, Yan Beiqing entered the hall and saluted mechanically, My son has seen my father. No gift. Baorong Emperor's body was half resting on the soft pillow, and his voice was weak. However, in just half a month, the pain had withered his tortured face. His face was sallow. The dark shadow under his eyes seemed to be deliberately painted. There were a lot of white hair in his temples. He looked like he was going to be rotten. Yen North City Mao Guang but swept a flash on the face of Treasure Glory Emperor, then avoided sight, voice calm of didn't have the slightest wave, Father Emperor has what important matter. Perhaps he was on the verge of death. On the contrary, Emperor Baorong was not as angry as he had been a few days ago. He said casually, those concubines and sons, even if they have no me in their hearts, they have to cry. You are true. I look like this, but they are not making a scene. Yan Beiqing's ice-sculptured face didn't fluctuate because of this sentence. He stood upright and said, I've done enough for the first half of my life. The decrees on Emperor Baorong's forehead were almost conglutinated, and the ravines were very deep. Yan Beiqing looked at him coldly, and his words were also cold, for me, it's half my life. Which of those painful memories should have happened at his age? Therefore, he always thought that his miserable days were half of his life. Baorong Emperor was silent. After a long time, he said slowly, I'm really ashamed of your mother. I can wash away the grievances for your mother, and I can also rectify the name of your mother's family and pursue the strong name of the wind. Yan Beiqing's cold and hard eyebrows had some fluctuations, and his lips pulled out a sarcastic radiance. No, I just want to leave here as soon as possible and live a peaceful life. Emperor Baorong's eyes wandered over the face of the demons in Yanbei City, and said in a low voice, You look like your mother and concubine now. After a pause, he continued, Your disguise for so many years is to inherit my position one day. Why do you have to shirk from me now? I hope you understand that I want you to come for the sake of the country and the people of the country. Xiener's health is not good. If I rashly pass the throne to Xiener, it will only be a few years, and his illness will come down again and again. At that time, the kingdom of God will be in chaos. Even if you become a vassal then, where can you go easily and freely? Barong Emperor, who has been in power for half his life, had ever spoken to any prince so seriously. At this time, Yu Beiqing spoke like this, which is also an account to the royal family and the kingdom before he was dying. Yan Beiqing's face was not a bit relaxed, and his thin lips sparked a radiance of self-mockery. So, if it wasn't for the body of the 13 emperor's younger brother, you would never consider me? In response to Yan Beiqing, there was a long silence. No matter what, you can give up on this matter. I've never thought about your position. There are so many princes in your family that you don't need me. Yan Beiqing pressed down and felt a little emotion in his heart. He opened his mouth without expression. Emperor Baorong suddenly coughed violently until he coughed up the phlegm in his throat. Then he pointed to Yan Beiqing and said, "Don't you see the civil and military officials outside the door? They've been kneeling here all morning. It's not that I'm forcing you, it's that they're forcing me." Yan Beiqing didn't want to say one more word to the so-called father in front of him. He turned around and left. "Well, since you don't want to, that's all I can do." Barong Emperor suddenly leaned back and spoke with a gloomy face. Yan North City, this just raised an eye. In the heart abruptly rises a very ominous premonition. What do you mean by this? Beirongdi just covered his lips and coughed, but did not rush to explain. In the side hall of Yangxin Hall at that time, the situation of Mo Shanghua, who had been well served by Lu Weng, suddenly changed. At this time, a group of imperial guards swarmed into the hall and directly surrounded the flowers on the street. The leader is Zhao Wei, who is now more valued by Emperor Baorong. Before Qinya could swallow the cake, she almost choked herself to death, anxious and confused. Mo Ling once clenched the scabbard of the long sword in his hand and patted Qinya gently with a wooden half-forehead dragon on one side. Mo Shanghua couldn't drink tea, but he just played with it in his hand. He didn't panic when he saw this situation. He put down the teacup and looked straight at Zhao Wei. What does General Zhao mean by this? After all, he once cooperated with Zhao Wei. Zhao Wei still appreciates the flowers in front of him, but now he has to face each other with swords. He can't bear it. But he was soon replaced by the military order in his heart, saying, "Your Majesty has an order. If King Yu disobeys the order, he will detain Princess Yu temporarily." As soon as the words came to an end, 2 imperial guards were about to come forward. Qinya tried to swallow the cake stuck in her throat. She quickly blocked the flower in front of her. "Your princess is pregnant now. Who dares to move? If you hurt your grandson, you can't protect your head." Mo Ling came forward with his sword, and his eyes were filled with a sense of killing. It's Yan Beiqing's order to follow Mo Shanghua to protect him. Although he has some ideas of his own, in any case, he must protect the safety of the princess and Qinya. Zhao Wei hurriedly raised his hand, ordered people to stop for a while, and then looked at the flowers on the street. "Please don't ask the princess to help me. I thought that the character of Mo Shanghua would be very difficult, but I didn't expect that she didn't even have a trace of resistance." She stood up straight and said, "Let's go." Zhao Wei has not had time to relax, but the steps of flowers suddenly stopped, turned his eyes and looked at Mo Ling. "Mo Ling, my medicine should still be with the Lord, so you wait for him here. When he comes, let him send it to me." "Princess, I'm afraid it's impossible." Zhao Wei frowned, embarrassed. Mo Shanghua stroked her abdomen and said, "My baby is less than 3 months old now. It's the most unstable time for the fetus. If you don't take medicine on time, you will be in danger of sliding at any time. If something happens, I'm afraid none of you can afford it." Zhao Wei thought for a moment and gave an excellent answer. "There are royal doctors in the palace. You can rest assured that they will treat you later. I'm afraid the whole imperial hospital in this palace is not as good as ours." Mo Shanghua, who had always been modest, was arrogant. He was as dazzling as a phoenix. "Besides, my constitution is special. The medicine prescribed by quack doctors has no effect on me. I have to use it myself." Zhao Wei, he wanted to find out some words to refute, but Mo Shanghua was indeed recognized as a miracle doctor in the palace, and she even saved Barong Emperor's life. In her eyes, those imperial doctors were not quacks. According to the princess. Zhao Wei gritted his teeth and ordered people to get out of the way. At the moment, he was surrounded by so many imperial guards, but he was not nervous. He was not shy about his words. He said to Mo Ling directly, "Tell the Lord that no one will do anything to me. He can do whatever he wants." Said, she covered his belly, hook lip smile, "This little thing, but my life card." Mo Ling bowed his head to answer, and looked at Qinya again. His eyes showed a little reluctant. After a while, his face turned red. Then he said, "Please take care of Qinya." With that, he ran away in a hurry. Qinya's tender little face turned red. She retorted in a low voice, "It's a piece of wood. The princess is the master. How can the master take care of the maidservant?" Mo Shanghua's lips were hooked. He laughed in a good mood and said in a high voice, "Yes, I will help you take good care of Qinya." Qinya's cheek was as red as a cooked red shrimp. Mo Shanghua touched her face with a smile and sighed solemnly, "It's so hot that it's time to make a small stove in winter." Since Duzhong had this little guy, Mo Shanghua's mood seems to be very different from usual. No matter what happened in the past, she was always calm, but now she has learned to make fun of it. And these are with Yan Beiqing together, under the influence of slowly change, maybe even she didn't realize. It was Zhao Wei who was so optimistic when he saw that he was going to be imprisoned. He was quite puzzled. Could it be a good thing or not? Facts have proved that it is not a bad thing. Mo Shanghua is very likely to be the empress in the future. No one dares to neglect her because she has a dragon fetus in her belly. She is imprisoned, but she can't pass the test in a palace in the palace. She ordered the guards to guard outside the palace, ate and drank well, and enjoyed imperial food in the palace. Although Mo Shanghua pursues pleasure in pain, Yan Beiqing is not in such a good mood. Especially when Mo Ling told the news that Yan Beiqing had been taken away by Zhao Wei, his cold eyebrows suddenly surged into a tyranny, his hands tightly clenched into fists. Looking at Baorong Emperor's eyes as if he were looking at an enemy, he almost squeezed the words from his teeth, "You are threatening me like this." Baorong Emperor had never seen a man's momentum reach such a level. His eyes flashed and his voice was still so powerless. "I have already said that as a prince, you must fulfill your duties as a prince. If you don't want to, I have some ways to force you to obey. I hear your princess is still pregnant." As he spoke, he covered his mouth with a handkerchief and coughed. As expected, the handkerchief was stained with blood, but he kneaded the handkerchief into a ball and couldn't see it. Ningxian master once said to me that Princess Yu's life is beyond words. Now it seems that she is going to be the queen of our kingdom of God. Why don't you want her daughter to be the most noble position? Mother Etienne, do you want to have a drink? That position is so precious to you, it's worthless in my heart. Yan Beiqing stares at Baorong Emperor tightly, showing a sense of killing in his eyes. "You just say, whether to let people go or not." At the moment, he is full of cruel and murderous intention, and seems to be able to explode at any time, taking people's lives in the invisible. The evil and handsome face does not affect his momentum at all. After several decades in power, Emperor Baorong felt a bit of retreat for the first time, but it was still his son. Naturally, he didn't want to admit it. He covered his mouth angrily and coughed violently. Seeing his posture of coughing to death at any time, Yanbei City was still pressing forward step by step, and there seemed to be a storm gathering slowly in his eyes. "Do you want to let people go or not? Son of a bitch." Emperor Baorong angrily threw down his brocade handkerchief and trembled violently. "How dare you talk to me like this?" Yan Beiqing's eyes were red and his forehead was blue. He said almost every word, "I only tell you that Imoer is my life. If she has any damage, don't mention the throne. I will only let the whole kingdom of God bury her with her." With that, he turned around and walked away. His momentum gradually dissipated with his departure. You son of a bitch." Baorong Emperor trembled to say such a sentence. His head sank and he fainted again. Your Majesty, Your Majesty." Lu Weng, who had just come from Yan Beicheng with his tail between his legs, saw that Emperor Baorong had fainted again, and cried eagerly, Tai, Tai. What, my father arrested my sister-in-law? Yan Xinchuan hard to support the body to sit up, the pale face shows his weakness. Don't get excited. Lu Zhen quickly pressed Yan Xinchuan and asked him to lie down first. Your Majesty just imprisoned Princess Yu in the palace, and didn't treat her badly. Now the princess is safe, but the prince's mood is not good. Mo Shanghua was once treated as a good friend by Lu Zheng. Thinking of the plight of his good friend in the past, Lu Zheng also had a headache and worried. The ministers knelt down in front of the Yangxin Hall to force him. Presumably, His Majesty has no way, so he can only use this method to force His Royal Highness Yu to submit. Yan Xinchuan smells speech, thin lips tightly pursed into a straight line, eyes remorse, a burst of guilt hit, in the final analysis, or because of my body, just let the emperor brother and sister-in-law suffer these. After a pause, he lowered his voice a little and said in a soft voice, I heard that Huang Sa is pregnant now. Lu Zhen nodded slightly and said, it's been more than 2 months. It's nearly March. At this point, he could not help but wring his eyebrows, rather worried. Before March, it is the most unstable time of fetal appearance. If you are too emotional during this period, it may lead to miscarriage at any time. When, cough, really? Yan Xinchuan still can't help but sit up reluctantly, a little emotional. Why is your highness so worried? Lu Zheng's brow tightened, and he thought a little. Yan Xinchuan eyes some unnatural turned his head, immediately began to explain, Huang Sa is because I was locked up, I naturally worry. In fact, he has long been open to the thoughts of Mo Shanghua. Today's worries are not only because of Mo Shanghua's body, but also because of her kindness to him. However, even so, he always felt guilty in his heart. He thought that he could not forget Lu Qianqian in the past. He was afraid that this kind of behavior would make the flowers on the street be criticized by others. However, he will not explain too much, otherwise, I am afraid it will be more and more black. Lu Zheng's ability to travel in the palace these days depends on not only his medical skills, but also Yan Xinchuan's eyes. Seeing that Lu Zheng was not asking, Yan Xinchuan said in a low voice, Dr. Lu, tell me the truth, how many years can I live with you now? Such a heavy problem, Lu Zheng cannot help but silence for a moment, then slowly said, if you can take good care of it, at most there are still 10 years. 10 years. Yan Xinchuan's pale lip gently chewed these 2 words, and the corner of his lip finally pulled out a smile. The smile was rather desolate. I'm not too young now. Thank you, Dr. Lu. Even if he lived for 10 years, he was less than 30 years old. However, he was satisfied. Lu Zheng has been a doctor for several years. He has been used to life, old age, illness, and death for a long time. Now when he sees Yan Xinchuan's mood, he is quite touched and says, Your Highness, don't be deliberate. The doctor is kind-hearted. This is my duty. If Your Highness wants to take good care of himself, I will do my best. Yan Xinchuan gently shook his head, and for a moment, he raised his eyes and looked at Lu Zheng. Dr. Lu, what can you do to make my body recover quickly now? After a pause, his eyes flashed a touch of determination, or what kind of prescription can be, you don't have to worry, you just say. Lu Zheng's eyes were complex, looking at the man with a firm face and a pale face. After a long time, I heard him slowly say, yes. Mo Shanghua is sitting in the palace. There is a maid in waiting to offer a fruit drink. The respectful one can't be respectful. Princess, please check this. I know you can't drink tea, so I specially offer this thing. Then he pointed to the pastries beside him. These are just from the imperial dining room. Please try them quickly. Do you like them? I'm kidding. Although this one is temporarily imprisoned here, in the end, it's not to force the superior to be the emperor. In any case, the present one cannot be ignored. What's more, all the expenses of the harem are now decided by the lady. These are all ordered by the lady. Who dares to be disrespectful? You go out first. Mo Shanghua glanced at the cake on the table and didn't move. This. Just now, the respectful maidservant was embarrassed. It's not that the maidservant doesn't want to reply to the princess. It's just that your majesty has ordered that the maidservants stay here and don't leave. The girl in front of her turned her eyes and said faintly, "It seems that I'm very important. I'm just a little princess. There are more than a dozen people just waiting on me." In addition to these palace maids, there are some quiet women who have great strength at first sight. Qinya glanced at the maid angrily and said in a small voice, "What kind of service is surveillance?" Although the voice was small, the maid of honor was close in front of her. Naturally, she could hear it clearly. With an embarrassed smile on her face, she stepped aside and said, "Princess, please use it slowly." Mo Shanghua stood up and walked slowly towards the outside of the hall, and all the maids followed. She is not angry, continue to walk slowly and leisurely toward the direction of the main door inside the hall. A group of maids did not stop them, but followed them step by step. He was satisfied with his silence. Instead of saying more, Qinya was annoyed by a group of headless flies. "Princess, they follow us like this. I'm afraid you don't have a chance to do anything." She quickly shortened the distance with the flowers on the street and whispered in her ear. "The flower eyebrow eyes on the Mo don't move, light way, that then temporarily don't walk. In fact, if she wants to go, there are many ways. But the law in the palace was too strict. If she escaped like this and was used by someone with a heart, she would be charged and forced to force Yan Beicheng, then it would not be like this. The emperor is on the verge of decay now, and they are biting their teeth to disagree. How can he survive these young people? Think of here, more and more calm on the flower face. Qinya flat mouth, quite a bit don't understand, princess, what do you do this for? Mo Shanghua didn't explain. She kept walking at her feet. You can't go out, but the scenery of Chu Xiu Palace is also good. People are waiting for us every day. We just enjoy it. When the time comes, someone will let us out. In the meantime, I arrived at the main entrance of the palace. The vermilion gate stands high in front of us. The flower on the street suddenly turns around and faces the ladies in waiting. The ladies in waiting were thinking that it must be the master who wanted them to let her out. Never thought, Mo Shanghua just glanced at them and said, "I want to have a rest here for a while." After a pause, he said, "Remember to prepare one more chair." Although the maids felt strange about the request, they were all relieved and immediately answered with a smile. But in a short time, the maids moved 2 royal chairs, a small one, and all the fruit drinks and cakes that had just been put in the room. More than that, there are 2 maids holding umbrellas to shade the flowers on the street. The flowers on the street are not suitable. They are told to take away their umbrellas and stand far away. As for Qinya, she looked at the imperial concubine chair in front of her, then looked at the flower on the street, which was already sitting safely and half lying down. "Princess, this, maidservant. How can maidservant sit again?" With that, she glanced at the waiting maids not far away. She always felt that she should be the same as them. Seeing this, Mo Shanghua got up and squeezed a piece of cake into her mouth, with a light smile on her lips. "If you lose your freedom here with me, you should be rewarded." Qinya almost choked, and tried to swallow the cake. The sweet and greasy taste beat the embarrassment in her heart. She said with a smile, "Thank you, princess." Then he sat down impolitely, squeezed a piece of cake and stuffed it into his mouth. His eyes suddenly lit up and his face was full of happiness. "I kept sighing in my heart that the cakes made by the imperial chef in the palace were different, and they were so delicious." A group of maids standing at a distance saw this scene, and their envious eyes were red. They could not help but began to imagine whether this would be so good to them if she really became a queen in the future. Mo Shanghua is peaceful here, but Yanbei City is another scene. With a cruel face, he came from the Yangxin Palace and passed directly under the different eyes of the officials. In addition, Emperor Baorong fainted, which caused a lot of trouble in the palace. Everyone was in a mess. Yan Beicheng has no mind to manage these. What he is full of now is the flowers on the street. Simply Mo Ling is quite intelligent. After being sent out by Mo Shanghua, she doesn't report immediately. Instead, she follows quietly to see which palace Missouri Shanghua is locked in. As a result, after Yan Beicheng left the Yangxin Palace, he went directly to Chuxiu Palace, which attracted many maids' attention. There are those who are afraid, and those who can't avoid them. Unexpectedly, some palace maids secretly look at the appearance of Yan Beicheng. Although the momentum is shocking, the face is really beautiful without the birthmark. Even the women have to feel inferior to themselves, and inadvertently plunder the hearts of many palace maids. Yan Beicheng didn't notice anyone's expression. He had only one goal at the moment: he had to see the flowers on the street to confirm his safety. The imperial palace is so large that it took Yanbei City a long time to get to the gate of Chuxiu Palace. As expected, the whole Chuxiu Palace is surrounded by the imperial guards at the moment. Even the flies don't want to fly in if the iron bucket doesn't show a drop of water. The maids in the palace all avoid passing by. What's more incredible is that Zhao Weigui, a general in charge of half of the imperial guards, stood here to guard himself. As soon as he saw Yan Beicheng coming fiercely, he immediately stopped him, folded his fist and bowed his body. "Your Highness, stop. I have issued an imperial edict. No one is allowed to get near here." Yan Beicheng just hit a bit of tyranny, and suddenly wantonly emerged. A pair of eyes full of towering storm crossed Zhao Wei and fell in front of the closed vermilion gate. "Who dares to stop me when I want to see my princess?" Yan Beicheng's whole body's tyrannical imposing manner, only let the person see then the heartache. Zhao Wei stepped forward under pressure and tried to keep his face unchanged. He said, "Your Highness, if you don't have your Majesty's imperial edict, you will not dare to profane your position. Please stop your anger." How could Yan Beicheng listen? He was so anxious that he couldn't calm down and think when he thought that Mo Shanghua, who was pregnant, had been taken as a threat by Emperor Baorong. "Let's go." Yan Beicheng's eyes flashed a sense of obliteration, and his voice was cold to the bone. Zhao Wei already felt Yan Beicheng's intention to kill him, but he still didn't give up. "If your Highness wants to break through, please forgive me for being rude. Yan Beicheng's identity is no better than others." At the moment, Zhao Wei is in the same state of mind as before. He only acts impartially. As soon as the words fell, all the imperial guards surrounded Yan Beicheng, and the sharp spear pointed at him. The phoenix eyes of Yanbei City are congested, and the killing intention is rampant in his heart. What he is thinking about is the flowers on the street, which are separated by only one door. Just at this time, the vermilion gate slowly opened, and a thin and straight woman appeared at the palace gate against the light. Yan Beicheng's angry eyes dissipated in an instant. A pair of phoenix's eyes almost stuck to Mo Shanghua. "Mo, how are you? Do they have any trouble for you?" When he said these words, he didn't think at all. When he said these words, he followed his own heart. He crossed Zhao Wei directly forward, pulled the flowers on the street, holding her hand to see left and right, for fear that were the slightest damage. Zhao Wei didn't expect that the door would be opened suddenly, so he didn't have time to stop it. Looking at the two guards guarding at the door, he said angrily, "Who let you open the door?" The guard quickly knelt down. "The princess said that her abdominal pain was unbearable, so I opened the door." These two guards were in charge of guarding the gate of Chuxiu Palace. Zhao Wei didn't check for a while. Thinking of this, he felt remorseful, but when he saw the two men's situation, he even bit his teeth and said, "The prince and the princess have something to say quickly." After a long time, the general can't explain it. After all, we have fought side by side. There is always some friendship. The flowers on the street smile at him to show their gratitude. "Thank you for your trouble, General Zhao." Yan Beicheng CMO Shanghua's eyes are a bit more sour. "Don't look at other men smile. Voice down, and think of the flowers on the street closed for so a while. The heart must be very unhappy. Will she into his arms? I'm not good, will let you suffer such grievances. Fortunately you're okay." Mo Shanghua let him hold, a hand consciousness to protect his belly. You don't worry, my father didn't let people treat me harshly. I eat, live and travel inside are also very good. After a pause, she separated a little, lowered her voice, and said seriously, my father will never do anything to me at this juncture, not to mention you and the 13 emperor's younger brother. Other princes can't bear the heavy responsibilities, and my father will certainly let them inherit. I'll stay in this palace for a few days, and you'll be at ease. You don't have to pay attention to other things. You don't have to agree. I'll be fine. Yan Beicheng's thin lips were tightly stretched into a straight line, and his eyes were full of gloom. How can I let you be imprisoned here? No, I must take you today, and then we'll go back to Yuzhou directly. We'll ignore everything about the imperial city in the future. Mo Shanghua didn't expect that Yan Beicheng would be so confused in such a big event. He pinched the back of his hand with some strength on purpose. Are you dizzy? That's the best policy. If you go back like this, do you think other princes can still sit? In the past, Yan Moli and Empress Lin were pressing on, and all the princes were obedient and helpless. At this time, if Yan Beicheng suddenly left, the imperial city would be in chaos. Thinking of this, Mo Shanghua said, the chaos of the imperial city will not be good for everyone. If you find an opportunity in Qin Kingdom, you and I will never have a better life. Yanbei City, the child in my belly can't stand the ups and downs. I just want to live a quiet life. Yan Beicheng closed his eyes, his thick long eyelashes trembled gently, and his hands tightly held the hand of Mo Shanghua, struggling in his heart. He can't bear to leave the flowers alone here. This imperial palace has always been a place where people eat without spitting bones. If you are not careful, you will be doomed. Mo Shanghua naturally understood his difficulties, took his hand and covered it in his belly, and pulled his lips with a smile. I'll do it for him. Don't worry. Besides, no one really treats me harshly. I'm served very carefully. When you come to pick me up, I'm afraid I'll be fat. Yan Beicheng didn't speak. He caressed her flat abdomen with his palm, and his eyes were complex and uncertain. After a while, he pulled the flowers on the street again, hugged them tightly and said in a soft voice, I'll pick you up soon. With that, he turned away without looking back. It's not that he doesn't care, it's that he's afraid that when he looks back, he'll have some impulse in his heart. It's hard for him to be rational when it comes to flowers. Zhao Wei sees this just orders a person to prohibit guard to stand again, then go up to front to spend on the Mo to bow a hand slightly, Princess, please go back. Mo Shanghua nodded slightly. She turned around and went back to the palace. Mo Ling didn't leave, but also entered the palace with her. Emperor Baorong fainted again. Lu Zheng treated him many times before, so he was called into the palace. After another treatment, Emperor Baorong came back to life, but his spirit was even more depressed. It was clear that he always rested and slept these days, but now he was full of green shadows. The first thing he did when he woke up was to ask Lu Zheng, how long do I have now? If it is the royal doctor beside, he must kneel down in fear and call for your majesty's long live, but Lu Zheng never disdains to say these false words. He lowered his eyes and said, according to your majesty's present state, at most. Half a month. Baorong Emperor heard the speech, and suddenly he coughed violently, as if he was going to cough up his heart and lungs. Bold! How dare you curse your majesty? On the one hand, Lu Weng was happy for Baorong Emperor, on the other hand, he was angry. Lu Zheng glanced at Lu Weng and said, I'm just telling the truth. I don't mean to curse you. Lu Weng seemed to say something. Baorong Emperor immediately raised his hand to stop him. His face was tired. Are the ministers still in front of the hall now? Lu Weng immediately respectfully replied, report to your majesty, the court officials heard that your body fainted, they are more reluctant to leave, one by one are anxious. Call them in. Baorong Emperor said slowly. Since Emperor Baorong summoned him, Lu Bohan had a lot of thoughts. It happened that he met the third prince head-on at this time. No, it should be King An now. Then he gathered his mind and saluted him a little. I've seen your highness King An. Although King An was timid and stupid, he was respectful when he saw Lu Bohan. The Prime Minister doesn't have to be polite. I dare to ask the Prime Minister, but he came out of the Yangxin Hall. Have you met his father? Speaking of this, he was full of distress. I want to visit my father, but my father didn't know why, he didn't see me at all. Originally, Barong Emperor didn't invite him, and he didn't plan to go again. But concubine Chen always asked for help again and again. Even if Barong Emperor didn't let him, he had to go all the time. Lu Bohan's eyes turned around on King An, and his mind became more active. His Highness is now His Majesty's eldest son. How can your Majesty not see you? King An sighed and didn't tighten up. Not only our king, but also our other brothers, father and emperor, and our mother and concubine, father and emperor also refused to go. In addition to the 13 younger brothers, there are also the 5 younger brothers. My father has never seen us again. However, he was just worried, but he didn't feel jealous. Lu Bohan's shrewd eyes swept the King An's body. A thought suddenly appeared in his heart. He suddenly said with a smile, Your Highness, it's not difficult to do this matter. I wonder if I have the honor to invite you to my house for a talk. King An looked at Lu Bohan suspiciously. Does Lu Xiang really have a way? However, at this time, I'm afraid that my mother's wife will blame me. This kind of soft nature is the best one to grasp. Lu Bohan was very happy and didn't reveal anything on his face. You can't tell Empress Chen about it first. Later, he told Empress Chen that His Highness doesn't need to mention the old minister at that time. He just said that it's your own way. Empress Chen will praise you more. As soon as the king's eyes brightened, he immediately settled the matter, according to the Prime Minister's words. Mo Shanghua originally thought that he would not have other things except to be bored in this palace. But did not think, in the evening, Xu Fei actually came to visit in person. A group of maids all saluted the lady, but the lady also wanted to salute. But the lady held her and told her, You are a person with body now, so you don't have to salute. The flower on the street didn't have politeness either. She stood up straight and said, Thank you for your consideration. Xu Fei chuckled, but the blood in her eyes and her haggard face were very clear. Mo Shanghua asked Xu Fei to come in and sit down. Then she said in a soft voice, Brother Shizenhuang's body can be taken good care of. Don't worry. You should take good care of yourself first, so that you can take good care of Brother Shizenhuang. You see it. Xu Fei raised her hand and stroked her face, which could be covered with powder. She still forced her face to smile. In fact, I've seen Xianer's business for a long time. I can't blame anyone at all. If I want to blame it, I can only blame that when I'm pregnant with Xianer, I didn't take good care of myself. I've been schemed by others, and Xianer was born prematurely. As soon as she mentioned this, her eyes turned red uncontrollably, and her grief could not be concealed. Qinya took a handkerchief to hand up, in the heart also quite sympathizes to in front of Xu Fei, Nyang Nyang is careful, don't want to cry bad eyes. Xu Fei is not the one who holds the airs. She smiles at Qinya. I'm fine. You don't have to be so nervous. Trying to suppress the grief in her heart, Xu Fei said with a faint smile, looking at the flowers in the street with concern, I know you must be bored here alone, and I will often come to see you in the future. After a pause, he put his hand in the hand of Mo Shanghua and said in a warm voice, I never thought of letting Xianer sit in that position, and I know that you are miserable in your heart. Anyway, you should always be relieved. Don't think too much about it. Things outside have to be solved by men. You just need to have a baby at this moment. As soon as she spoke, the female official behind her brought up a lot of gifts and said with a smile, Princess, it's all our Empress's intention. I hope it can relieve your depression. Mo Shanghua really didn't expect that Xu Fei was such a sincere and warm-hearted person. Her cold heart was moved. I won't say anything nice, but I'm really moved now. Thank you, Xu Fei Nyang. Xu Fei gently held her hand, and her eyes were full of pity. You're a good child. I'll never forget what you did for Xianer. These are all right. I just hope you can be relieved now. Don't be so anxious to move your breath. By the way, I've got one more for you. Xu Fei said, turning to the female officer behind her. That female official immediately nods to go down. Don't have a short while, the Lu Zheng of a body imperial doctor official dress unexpectedly in that female official's lead entered the palace. Mo Shanghua looked at Lu Zheng in surprise. How can you come in? Lu Zheng took a look at Xu Fei and said with a smile, naturally, it's TOEFL for Xu Fei. In fact, there are many people's meanings in it. After a pause, he said, I mean something. In Yuzhou in the past, you and I discussed medical ethics together. Now I owe all my achievements to you. Naturally, I should come to see you. It's not bad to say that. After chatting with Mo Shanghua, Lu's opinion on medical skills has been greatly improved. Since then, medical skills have naturally become more and more powerful. Now it's second only to flowers. A words let Mo Shanghua heart a little warm, bent up lip corners to smile, thank them for me. She has always been cold-hearted and devoted to medical research in her previous life. How can she gain so many people's care in this life? How can she not feel warm in her heart? There will be because of their own square-inch chaos, completely lost in the past decisive sharp Yanbei City, that will be in front of him like a person like Yanbei City, everything, let her originally cold heart, warm and comparable. Seeing this, Lu Zheng took down the medicine box he was carrying and said, although you have everything here, you need to be very careful where you use medicine. I have met desire and brought some herbs to you. You can order someone close to you to cook them. Mo Shanghua takes it with a smile and gives it to Qinye when he arrives at Xia. In fact, only she knew that she did not want to drink medicine during pregnancy. It's quite hard for her to boil out the pill. In her opinion, everything should go with the flow. If it's not for special circumstances, she doesn't need to drink it. But in order to make Yan Beiqing feel at ease, she made her own prescription for the tocolysis medicine, but in fact, she poured it out secretly every time. However, in the face of other people's good intentions, she naturally will not shirk. Qinye knew this heart clearly, but she didn't break it. She accepted the flowers with a smile. A few people chatted a few words at will again. Xu Fei and Lu Zheng then left Chu Xiu Palace. After all, the flowers on the street are forbidden, so they should not stay too long. Can this medicine really make me recover quickly? Yan Xinchuan looked at the medicine in Lu Liuzheng's hand and asked in a low voice. Lu Zheng looked down at the decoction in his hand and nodded gently, but it's not as fast as you think. At least it will take some time to look as usual. 10 days. Thinking of the situation outside now, Yan Xinchuan frowned slightly. It's the fastest. There's no other way. Lu Zheng sees this, low voice reminds. Just 10 days, 10 days. Yan Xinchuan took the medicine with a bitter smile and drank it. This medicine seems to be more bitter than usual. When he drank it, he frowned from time to time. But even so, he did not stop at all. Anyway, he has to get better as soon as possible. My days in the palace are really boring. I eat and sleep every day. Mo Shanghua is pregnant now. She doesn't want to work hard and think about it. She simply believes in Yan Beiqing. Therefore, although these days are boring, it's much better to have a Xu Fei come to visit her from time to time. Qinye and Mo Ling can meet day by day, but there is no complaint. Even because the food here is quite good, but 3 days on the fat on a few pounds, so that Mo Shanghua often tease. Mo Ling then quietly raised his lips and looked at Qinye with a smile. After only 4 days, the imperial edict of Baorong Emperor soon arrived at Chuxiu Palace. But it was not the imperial decree of pardon that came, but the intention of imprisoning her in the patriarchal clan. Qinye's mellow little face suddenly changed. Princess, what's the matter? Isn't the prince always outside? How could that be? Every day when Xu Fei came, she would bring Yan Beiqing's letter to relieve the pain of Acacia. At the same time, she would also tell the situation outside. Maybe Qinye didn't know his current situation, but she was not surprised. In recent days, the wind in the middle of the court seems to have changed. Lu Bohan has already loosened his mouth and asked Barong Emperor to appoint a third prince. The third prince is stupid and incompetent, so Barong Emperor naturally doesn't want to. The rest of the officials still supported Yanbei City, and even knelt down in front of Yanbei City. Barong Emperor's mind didn't seem to change because of Lu Bohan. He summoned Yan Beiqing several times, but he didn't see him at all. Yan Beiqing is really hard to deal with at the moment, and he is secretly preparing to solve the problem in the name of national teacher. Mo Shanghua knows everything, so she is not in a hurry. What she can do now is to take care of herself, so as not to distract Yan Beiqing. Therefore, she accepted the imperial edict calmly, and then she was taken away by the guards and put into the imperial palace. Because she was pregnant, she got the best treatment in prison. Although it was a cell, except for a railing with thick arms, the furnishings and other things in it were similar to those of normal people. Only the royal family was in charge of the Zhongrenfu, so Qinya and Mo Ling were not allowed to enter, so they were driven out of the palace. Mo Shanghua wanted to settle down when she came, but when she glanced, she saw a rather unfamiliar face in the opposite cell. It's Lin Xiangyin. Lin Xiangyin has been locked up in the Zhongrenfu, so Yan Moli's affair didn't involve her. If we say the biggest disadvantage is that the Zhongrenfu is afraid that she will never leave this life. However, she seems to have thought about it for a long time. Her coat is much more tidy than when she first came to see her. Her black hair is simply pulled up with a wooden hairpin, and her cheeks are white but lifeless. I didn't expect to see you here in my lifetime. Lin Xiangyin saw the flowers on the street and looked over. Then she pulled her lips and gave a light smile. Mo Shanghua was not angry. He found a wooden stool and sat down for a while. He said faintly, 30 years of Hedong and 30 years of Heshi have come like this. Lin Xiangyin looked down at the coarse cloth on her body, and looked at the strange flowers on the opposite side, although she was dressed in plain clothes, but the material was excellent. Her lips pulled out a smile of self-mockery. It's really 30 years of Hedong and 30 years of Heshi. When you were in the most depression, I was the apple of my eye and the favorite granddaughter of Donglenhao. Now, I don't even have my grandfather. At this point, her empty eyes could not help but shed tears, full of sorrow, but no resentment. Mo Shanghua is silent. She can't say that she can't escape the relationship completely. Naturally, she has no right to comfort the woman who has lost everything. Lin Xiangyin didn't seem to need consolation. She wiped her tears and looked at the flowers on the street with her head tilted. Why did you come in? Did your husband feel ashamed of you? Mo Shanghua's lips slightly twitched for a moment, pondered for a moment, and then said, It's just that I've made your majesty unhappy. But Lin Xiangyin sniffed, If it's just like this, how can you be locked in such a place? However, it's good. At least you can have someone to accompany me. Thinking of this, she chuckled again. In the past few months, she has already defeated some of her nerves. Now, her style of doing things is quite different from before. Mo Shanghua stares at Lin Xiangyin for a while, only to feel that the woman's eyebrows and eyes are suddenly strange. She wants to say something, but she can't say it anyway. Are you guilty? Lin Xiangyin suddenly opened her mouth as if she saw what she was thinking. Mo Shanghua did not answer, just dropped his eyes. Lin Xiangyin didn't resent it. She just laughed sarcastically. Now I understand why you have such a big change. Now I've experienced it, but I don't blame you. Then she murmured, I'm blind. I fell in love with such a man. Do you know? When I knew that he was also locked in, I didn't worry. I think I finally jumped out now. Thank you in fact. Thinking of this, she began to smile again. Mo Shanghua just quietly listened to her, did not interrupt, also did not because Lin Xiangyin thank Bento, really feel that they are not wrong. Lin Xiangyin is not angry because of the silence of the flower. She just hasn't spoken for a long time. When she sees the flower, she can't help pouring out all the pain in her heart. By the way, I heard that my father was escorted back to the city. I don't know the news after that. Do you know? After telling her own voice, Lin Xiangyin said again. Speaking of this matter, Mo Shanghua can't help frowning. I didn't pay attention to it, I don't know it now. She only knew that after the capture of Donglinhao, General Lin, who was far away in northern Xinjiang, was immediately taken military power and escorted back to Beijing, but she didn't pay attention to the news. Lin Xiangyin suddenly calmed down, buried her head in her knees and kept silent. The flowers in the street don't even open their mouth. I can't. Please agree. The princess is pregnant now. How can she stay in such a place for a long time? Qinya knelt down and looked at Yan Beiqing with red eyes. Yan Beiqing had already learned the news, and he was also anxious, but the more he waited, the more he should hold his ground. As a result, he did not look at Qinya, thin lips cold voice words, Moling, take her down. But. Qinya wants to say something, but Mo Ling has held her hand, I'm leaving. Then he can't help breaking up and pulling Qinya down. No one else, the room for a time quiet down, Yan Beiqing whole face are taut tightly, eyes look deep and unpredictable. Compared with the impulse of a few days ago, now he has calmed down a lot. Flower Thousand Willow at the moment also received smile, see him like this, way, simply directly save small Mo flower, you directly leave here back to Yuzhou is, also born so troublesome. The South Crane suddenly glanced over, a face of hate iron does not become steel, I do not know how many times this has been denied, if it is feasible, do not use you to say. Flower Thousand Willow some impatient of grasp to grasp the forehead front two-stroke broken hair, this also can't, that also can't, Treasure Rong Emperor now also didn't swallow breath, this matter can how. Yen North City silent for a long time, suddenly lift eyes, dark eyes inside a quiet, if there is no way, then push others up. The South Crane slightly ponders, unexpectedly also nodded, if the Lord really does not want to succeed, then only then this method, only, in your heart now may have the suitable person. Maybe it's a retribution. The only one who is really outstanding in Baorong Emperor's son is Yan Moli and Yan Sichuan. It's a pity that he has a vicious mind, a weak body, and then Yan Beiqing. It's a pity that he has never been interested in the throne. The rest of the princes were flat and submissive, unable to be used at all. It's really ironic to say that the person who didn't want the throne the most became the best candidate, which is ironic. Hua Qianlu smoothed the 2 threads of hair in front of her forehead, frowned and said, I've seen 1 or 2 of those princes, but even in the Qin Lu Chu Hall, they don't dare to speak aloud. How can they do that? I don't need to worry about whether I can do it or not. That is to say, the whole kingdom of God will fall under their hands in the future, which is less important than her. Yan Beiqing's eyes were deep, his lips were thin, and his voice was not emotional, but his hands were unconsciously tightened. Let alone a kingdom of God, that is, all the people in the world are less important than a stranger in his heart. Hua Qianlu and Nan He were silent when they heard the words. Hua Qianlu silently holds Nan He's hand, but this time Nan He doesn't shake his hand away and let him hold it tightly. In one's life, it is not easy to meet a person who loves each other and keep each other. Lord, here comes Dr. Lu. Dark Wei's voice suddenly rang outside the door. Come in, please. Yen North City collected the emotion in the MOU, the facial expression has no mouth. As soon as the voice fell, the door was pushed open from the outside. Lu Jing stepped in without ceremony and said, the 13th prince asked me to tell him that his body will soon recover. Let's be calm and don't act impulsively. Mo Shanghua's intuition is that Yan Beiqing can't wait until tonight. Sure enough, when it's ugly tonight, there's a vision. She had observed the movements of the prison guards, and they would come to inspect about every other hour. When it was dark, they would patrol for half an hour. Now it was time, but they were not there. Lin Xiangyin in the opposite cell has fallen asleep, and the candlestick is still on. There are many royal relatives and nobles in the Zhongren mansion, so they attach great importance to it. The candlesticks in the prison cannot be put out at night, in order to prevent accidents from being discovered in time. Everything around was quiet. Mo Shanghua quickly analyzes the surrounding situation, and her eyes stare at the direction of the prison door for a moment. Sure enough, but a moment later, the extremely light footsteps came from my ears, and 3 masked men in black suddenly appeared in front of the prison door. After they came in, they opened the cell door without saying anything. Mo Shanghua stood up alert. Silver needle has been quietly pinched in the fingers. Who are you? Those people seemed to know that Mo Shanghua would ask like this. One of them saluted Mo Shanghua respectfully and said, "My subordinates have been ordered by His Royal Highness King and to send the princess out of the city to meet with King Yu." On the other hand, the vigilance in the eyes of flowers on the street is increasing instead of decreasing. I have nothing to do with him. Why did he save me? The man in black had expected that the flower in the street would ask this question, and said, "The purpose of your highness is known by the princess as soon as she guesses. Why should we say more? Now, please get up quickly and come with us. No, it's a fraud." As soon as the man in black's words came out, the flower in the street noticed something wrong. She had seen Wang An several times, submissive and mediocre, and could not do things as well as she did now. The flower heart on the street thinks a turn, in the heart already had probably, the lip cape gently stirs up, the way, "Good, I follow you to walk." As he spoke, the guard in his eyes had eased. The man in black who spoke immediately let the road open, let the stranger go first, and then another man in black walked in front to explore the way, put her in the middle, in a protected position. Another man in black, after leaving the prison, did not know what his purpose was. He opened the prison door on Lin Xiangyin's side and stepped in. Lin Xiangyin woke up as soon as the door of the prison was opened. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw a man in black coming towards her. Her face turned white with fright. Just as she was about to shout, the man in black knocked her out with a hand knife, then picked her up and took her away. The flower on the street pressed down the suspicions in his heart. Yu Guang glanced at the figure of the man in black. He quickly took his eyes back and only looked away without interest. "Let's go." The prison guards of the patriarchal clan had been knocked unconscious. The flower on the street looked down and then looked away. She continued to follow the man in black. There was another man in black behind her, but she still took off a silver needle between her fingers. The silver needle's target was too small, and she didn't raise her hand. The man in black had to pay some attention to the movement around, which was not easy to find. Out of the mansion, a carriage had been arranged outside. The stranger and the unconscious Lin Xiangyin were put in the carriage, while the 3 men in black were driving the carriage outside. All the way, the flowers on the street did not open their mouth, nor did they wake up Lin Xiangyin, leaving the carriage to drive outside the city. When it was over, the gate had already been locked. When it reached the gate, the guards opened the gate directly and let them out of the city. The carriage finally stopped in a remote wilderness. It's no more modern here. Even at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, the lights are still bright outside. At this time, the carriage stops outside the wilderness. It's dark everywhere. It's no exaggeration to say that you can't see your fingers. It's as if you are blind and can't see anything. One of the men in black took a torch and looked at the other 2 men in black. Then he said, "Princess, it's here." As his words fell, 7 or 8 men in black, who were also masked, flashed around quietly. They all had long swords in their hands, and their eyes were fixed on the humble carriage in front of them. "What about King Yu? I want to see King Yu." Mo Shanghua didn't get out of the car. Qingling's voice came from the carriage. The man in black, who was holding the torch, flashed a hint of sarcasm in his eyes and continued to say in a hoarse voice, "Naturally you can see it when the princess gets out of the car." There was a long silence in the carriage, and no one answered. A man in black was suspicious. With the sign of the man in black holding a torch, he stepped forward and opened the car curtain carefully. "I didn't think about it. The accident happened suddenly at this time." There was no flower in the carriage except Lin Xiangyin, who was unconscious. The man in black was still in doubt, but suddenly some powder fell from the sky in front of him. For a moment, he felt that it was poison. He covered his nose with his hand and retreated. But after a few steps, he fell to the ground and didn't know whether he was alive or dead. At the next moment, the whole person on the street would rush out of the carriage like an arrow away from the string. The rest of the people in black just wanted to meet them, but what they were facing was not a lethal weapon, but a poisonous powder that went with the wind. The poison powder was very fast, but in the blink of an eye, it could disperse within 2 meters around. The rest of the people in black came forward one by one, and the result was that they fell down one by one. But in the blink of an eye, there were only 4 of them, all holding their swords and daring to step forward. Mo Shanghua claps her hands and shakes the residual poison powder in her palm. She carelessly raises her eyes and looks straight at the man with the torch. "General Lin, I didn't expect you to be here." The man in black was stunned for a moment, and then his eyes suddenly skimmed over the meaning of obliteration. "How can you know my identity?" Mo Shanghua looks at the man in black with light eyes. His voice is cold and casual. "If it wasn't for today's Lingai who asked you where you are, I'm afraid I wouldn't think of you. Besides, you deliberately disguised your voice, your body shape is also deceptive, and your attitude towards Lingai is full of flaws." Speaking of this, she gently picked the corners of her lips and said, "In fact, your voice has great flaws. I've never seen you before. Your deliberate disguise will only make you full of flaws. Tell me, what's your purpose? Why do you want to pretend to be the third prince?" The flower on the street stands with a negative hand, and her eyes are cold and sharp looking at the General Lin in front of her. General Lin pulled the black cloth off his face and finally showed a weather-beaten face. "You are really a smart man." He looked at the flowers on the street and said, "But..." He didn't say the words behind, and his lips pulled out a strange arc. The poison powder on Mo Shanghua's body is gone, and his eyes are a little wary. He touches his waist quietly, "But what?" General Lin didn't answer, just sneered, and then looked at another man in black. At the next moment, there were dozens of people in black in the quiet surroundings. Their momentum was different from the previous wave. The moment they appeared, they all rushed to the flowers on the street. She did not dare to be vague. She immediately drew out her soft sword and dealt with it wholeheartedly. But these people in black are obviously more difficult than those they met before. They don't fight with her to death at all. They just fight with her. If they are in danger of being hurt by her, they retreat quickly. It was obviously an attempt to drain her strength. Mo Shanghua understood the intention of these people, and her face became more dignified gradually. But when she was fighting, she had more worries, always subconsciously protecting her stomach, and was consumed in turn, but after a long time, her physical strength gradually declined. When people in black saw this, they looked at each other again, and then they pulled away. Suddenly, a big net made of coarse hemp fell from the sky and covered the flowers in the street. Mo Shanghua wanted to split it directly with software, but when the big net was getting closer and closer to him, his pupils suddenly shrank, and he quickly dodged to avoid it. It was only in front of my eyes that I could see clearly where the fishing net was made of coarse hemp. It was clearly interspersed with iron wire with barbed wire barbs. If it was netted, it would be seriously injured. She was rolling directly from the ground to avoid, just fell on the ground, the butcher's knife of the man in black cut at her again, she didn't care a lot, instantly jumped up, this was forced into the place where the iron net fell, the light embroidered shoes on her feet were pierced by the barb on the iron net, and the soles of her feet suddenly felt a deep pain. Dozens of swords pointed at her at this time. The center of the foot is the place where people gather their blood. At the moment, it is suddenly pierced, but in the blink of an eye, the blood is dripping at the foot. Mo Shanghua pinches the corner of his clothes and tries to hold back the pain. He looks at the General Lin who has never taken his hand. Who is behind the scenes? Today, some of these people's actions are clearly to know her habits. It is impossible for General Lin, who is far away from the border, to know and master her habits. General Lin sneered and said, "Yuan King, you have destroyed the foundation of the Lin family for 100 years, and my daughter has become like this. Naturally, I want you to have a hard time. However, before that, you are still useful." Voice just fell. A man wrapped in black slowly came out from the darkness, eyes inky, cold looking at the flowers trapped in the street. Yen Moli, it's you. The flower eyes on the road are fixed to look at Yen Moli, who is standing on the side of General Lin, and his tone is especially affirmative. The light from the torch was dark and yellow. Half of Yen Moli's face was bathed in the dark. Half of his face was caged in the dark. The eagle's eyes were sinister and treacherous, just like a ghost climbing out of hell. Don't worry about the flowers on the street. Yen Moli slowly hooked the corner of his lips, his voice was cold and gloomy. You can't think about it well, I can still come out of Yen Moli, and I didn't expect you to have this day. As he spoke, he twisted his eyebrows and laughed. In the end, it's still thanks to Lu Xiang, your father. If he didn't think he was smart enough to control the third prince, I'd let General Lin take advantage of the loophole and secretly encourage the third prince to be a fool, and you wouldn't have the light of today. It's really funny, haha. Looking at his nearly twisted face, I'm a stranger. Shanghua had no emotion on her beautiful face. She said with no expression, you want to use me to coerce Yanbei City, but your emperor dream is still alive. This sure calm appearance actually stimulated Yen Moli. His face sank down fiercely and stared at the flowers on the street viciously. I think that's what I think, so what? Do you think you can escape my palm now? No, I tell you, I don't just want to blackmail you, I want your husband and wife to die. Mo Shanghua's hand covering her belly is slightly tightened, and her lips are white. My father has not closed his eyes yet. If you do this, no courtier will recognize you. On the face of it, I have been secretly calculating the time in my heart. Yen Moli extremely rampant smile, directly in front of the mountain a pinch Mo Shanghua's slender neck. Things up to now, you still dare to talk like this in front of me, do you believe I immediately want your life? With that, she lifted her whole body from the ground with a little force in her hand. Originally adapted to some of the soles of the feet were forced to chase out from the barb, coupled with the neck almost suffocating force, let the Mo Shanghua face quickly pale down. Even at this time, the people in black around them still did not dare to neglect and withdraw. They were all wary of raising their swords around. Breathing more and more thin, Mo Hua's pale face gradually turned purple, but Yen Mo's lips became more and more curved, and his smile became more and more rampant. I'm really curious. If Yen Beiqing saw you like this, would he be willing to let him kneel down? I hear you're pregnant. After a pause, his eyes were on the belly of the flower again. Clearly already in such a desperate situation, Mo Shanghua is still trying to keep himself sober. Yen Moli is still relaxed and complacent, but he doesn't know where he comes from. He pinches a few silver needles between his fingers and stabs Yen Moli under his armpit. When Yen Moli was in Zhongrenfu, his mentality was distorted, and he had no internal power. Naturally, his movements were extremely insensitive. He was stabbed in the armpit without checking for a moment, and suddenly he had no strength to let her go. Mo Shanghua seizes the opportunity, and ignores the moment when he falls to the ground to avoid the barb. He kicks Yen Mo to the ground with one foot, and then the whole person pours on him. He presses his knees against his chest, making him unable to move. He clenches his fist with the other hand, and holds a few silver needles between his fingers, directly on his neck. A series of actions completed, but blinking time. It's also to restrain Yen Moli. She coughed a few times uncontrollably. Her face turned purple because of lack of oxygen gradually recovered, but she was still very pale. Even so, she didn't dare to relax. Yen Moli now has no internal power, and is killed directly by Mo Shanghua. A handsome face is a twist. The flower on the street coldly coagulates Yen Beiqing, who has no resistance at this time. The pain on the sole of his feet doesn't seem to exist. His pale lip tears out a touch of irony. Your Highness has eaten too much in the prison of the patriarchal clan, and now his hands and feet are soft. Even I can't resist it. Yen Moli's eyes at the flowers on the street were almost angry, and his handsome face was twisted. What are you still doing? You still don't want to take down this enchantress. However, his master's life is in the hands of Mo Shanghua. How dare people in black move? General Lin also immediately raised his hand, his face was still calm. Don't do it for the moment. Don't worry about the king, or you'll fight to death. You must also kill this monster. At the moment, Yan Moli's state of mind has been completely distorted, even regardless of his own life and death, extremely crazy mouth. Even General Lin was surprised by his words. No, Your Highness, you must be calm. He Lin family also hopes to use Yan Moli to recover, he naturally won't let Yan Moli have an accident. Mo Shanghua raised his eyes and looked at General Lin. Although his face was the same gloomy, he still had a good appearance. His heart was slightly heavy. I'm afraid this person is more difficult to deal with than Yan Moli, who is almost crazy now. The most important thing for her now is to delay time. As soon as he thought about it, General Lin looked at her and said, Princess Yu, all you have now is just a battle of trapped animals. Even if you really kill Your Highness, you can't escape here. Not only you, but also your children will be involved. If you cooperate with us and release Your Highness, we will naturally release you. Oh. The flower willow eyebrows on the street gently stirred up, lifted the eyes and looked at the General Lin with a smile. Is the matter settled? Is it settled after His Royal Highness Ling Wang sits on the throne? At that time, I'm afraid my life can't be saved. On the tongue, Mo Shanghua will never lose to anyone. Of course, she is also the most able to use the words of the situation. Seeing General Lin's words, she said directly, General Lin, I know your real purpose of following Yan Moli, and I know what you think now. You hate me to the bone, and you don't have to pretend anything in front of me. I just want to tell you that if I have something, you won't be easy to rescue me. My daughter will be buried with me. At this point, she gently raised her lips and looked straight at General Lin. Why do you think such a big movement makes love stay in the carriage all the time? Naturally, thanks to my poison powder. You General Lin's only weakness now is Lin Xiangyin. At the moment, he suddenly hears the words of Mo Shanghua. His face suddenly changes, and his eyes are full of evil. It's better to see than to hear. You are really a poisonous woman. The wound on the center of the foot seems to have coagulated, no bleeding, and the pain has also been alleviated. Mo Shangguang smiles and pushes the silver needle towards Yan Moli's neck again. I'm a poisonous woman naturally. Otherwise, how can I live? Yan Moli's neck fingertip has already chinshu a bead, eyes staring at the flowers, full of hate. He wished he could kill the woman right now, but he didn't know why he suddenly lost his strength and had no room to resist. Bitch, let go of me. Yan Moli's chest heaved violently. He could only use words to scold him. The flowers on the street drooped their eyes and looked at Yan Moli with pity. I didn't expect that His Royal Highness Ling, who used to be so rich and handsome and strategizing, would be reduced to such a situation now, and the same woman would yell at him. Yan Moli blushed. Even if he was so clamped by the flowers on the street, his body was still shaking uncontrollably, and he couldn't say a word anymore. I don't know why she began to feel dizzy again. Mo Shanghua bit her white lip. The pain made her sober again. She picked up her spirits and looked at General Lin. In fact, all my actions are out of self-protection. If I am safe in the end, my love will be safe. General Lin only needs to understand this truth. His mind became more and more confused, and it seemed that a large number of horses' hooves were trampling on the ground. He could not hear what General Lin said. The strength of his hand was also relaxed subconsciously. Seeing this, a man in black quickly overturned the flowers on the street with the help of General Lin. Mo Shanghua only feels dizzy. Even if someone attacks her, she has no consciousness of resistance. She just instinctively protects her abdomen with two hands. After rolling twice on the ground, she has no consciousness. Mor. A nearly torn voice suddenly rang out, with a huge anger and heartache, and then saw a man's body like flying, blinking to the flowers on the street, a delicate person rolling on the ground carefully into his arms.